Derek Moneyberg here. You're about to download some key money-making philosophies in your head with this next lesson. And once you do, go to moneyberg.com and let's accelerate your success even faster. Success is not something that happens in an instant. Success is a habit, you know. The OG pimp Aristotle said that, you know, excellence is a habit. Having an excellent outcome, something, you know, this a person who engaged in a habit over a period of time, and he developed that excellence. So, you know, it's not a murderous moment. It's not a rageful, murderous moment that's going to be, you know, the decider of your success or failure. It's going to be, you know, when you're by yourself and when it seems very non-dramatic, when it seems like the short-term consequence wouldn't matter very much. Well, what are the decisions that you're making then? Are you still holding yourself accountable where it'd be really easy to rationalize not doing the thing? And real easy to procrastinate, you know, I'll just, you know, I'll load the fucking dishwasher. I'll just load the dishwasher. I'll play with my fucking, you know, some dating app on my phone, because that's leading to the same outcome, right? Yeah, but it's not. So, you know, the person that makes that decision that when nobody else is watching, when nobody else would judge you, when nobody else in the world except you would know, how do you behave at that moment? Do you go do the thing that would give you the productive outcome? Would you do the thing that helped you achieve your goal? Or let's go back to this MMA stuff. It's like, you know, I imagine a guy who's done pretty well. You have to have a certain amount of an obsession to even go get any fucking belt at something. But, you know, the person that go gets, you know, the blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, you know, by the time you got that purple belt or brown belt, you're kind of in the range of, you know, diminishing marginal utility of getting choked more. But, you know, that guy, he still has that calling. He's going to go get his black belt. That's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. You know, I don't know, man. You know, I know a couple of guys, you know, my buddy that's up here earlier got a purple belt, and I got a couple of friends that got black belts, and I got a couple of friends that are in the UFC right now, and one in Bellator that they'd be happy to hear from me, or, you know, text or take a phone call, you know. And these are guys where, you know, probably when you're already fucking sore, when you got some injuries and some soreness, and you got to fucking drag your ass out to the gym to get fucking smacked around and choked some more, you know, on year 10 or year 15, you know, the habits are already in place. It's not even a decision at that point. It's just like, that's what you do. That's what you do. So you got to get those habits in place. And you know, that's the important part, burning those habits into your head. If you do that, excellent. Back to the OG pimp Aristotle, excellence is a habit. And you're going to have to engage in those habits when nobody else is watching. You're going to have to engage in those habits when nobody in the world would judge you. You know, they wouldn't even know except for you. And your ego is going to tell you that you're good enough. Your ego is going to tell you you don't have to do it. You're already doing good. You know, the smarter you are, the better your rationalizations sound. How many of you guys know that? The smarter you are, you start making better and better rationalizations. Yeah, because you're like, other smart people wouldn't judge me for this. You start thinking about gradients of excuses. For the energy you spend thinking about those excuses, you could just go do the thing and accomplish the fucking goal. So, but we all do it. We all do it. So, yeah, it's not a murderous rage, bro. That murderous rage might help you make the decision to say, enough of this shit. I'm going to do the shit when nobody is watching. I'm going to take the right action when nobody else would judge me. Nobody in the world would know except me. And that'll give you the confidence to do everything else you want to do. A person that does that, that'll give you the confidence to go find the money. I don't want to spend time with losers. I love to make fun of losers. Because, you know, winners are not offended when you make fun of losers. The more I can make fun of losers and, you know, hurt a couple people's feelings in here, if it bothers you when I make fun of losers, it's you I'm talking to. That's the person I'm talking to. Winners aren't offended by that. People that are doing something, you know, people that are already doing something, or even the precursors to do something. A young man who's taking action and he's going to be somebody one day, and he feels confident about that, and he's engaging in reasonable behaviors. So you know, he has goals set, and he is engaging in reasonable behaviors that would lead to a successful outcome. That guy wouldn't be offended by things I say. Wouldn't be offended by that. I love making fun of losers. I love to screen through crowds. I mean, a human is a permeable creature. You're going to be influenced by the people you spend time with. That's not a choice. That's not a choice. You're going to be influenced by the people you spend time with. If you spent and I know you're a very smart and very productive person, but if you start spending time with 5 heroin addicts for, the next couple of years, there's a good chance 2 years from now you're going to be a heroin addict. If those were your only friends for the next 5 years, good chance you're going to become one of them. That's it's not a choice. That's what a human is. You're absolutely influenced by your environment tremendously. A human is a social creature. That's why we live in big cities. So, it's not a choice. So, you have to make, the choice that you can make is, do you want to make that sacrifice? Are you being sufficiently compensated to make that sacrifice? And I'm not down on business, man. I got 2 business degrees. I spent 9 years in university. My bachelor's degree was in business, my MBA, business. I love business. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what they're doing. I'm just saying as an individual, you have to make an informed decision. It's like, are you being sufficiently compensated to, filter your personality, filter your identity? 30% of what you get paid is just to shut up and mute your personality so you can get along with the other people. You think that through is like, you think about that, like how much extra are they paying you, not just for the core functions that you actually provide to an organization. I think something like 1/3 of your income is just to, be a good little boy and follow the instructions and don't create waves and don't create a fuss that might disrupt your coworkers or whatnot, because it'll disrupt macro productivity. I think a good chunk of your salary, 30%, something like that, is just to shut up and fit in and get along and don't rock the fucking boat. But from the corporate, I'm not saying that corporations are evil. I own corporations. I run corporations. They're fantastic. That entity allowed civilization to advance greatly. But what's in the best corporate interest isn't always in your best interest as an individual. A lot of being a good executive is self-denial. A lot of what it takes to be a good executive, or a good entrepreneur for that matter, is self-denial, is making the company your priority. And I like money. I love money. I love money. I'm half a Jew. I'm 2 business degrees. I grew up poor. I'm a greedy capitalist. I'm a shameless, greedy capitalist. I love money. And I wouldn't want to be friends with anybody who doesn't love money. Because what does this money mean? It just means your future freedom. What is money? What does money buy you? What do people give a shit about money? Well, money buys you freedom to go places you'd like to go, have things you might like to have nice creature comforts. I'd say the most important thing the money buys you, it buys you your time back. So if you can manage your time efficiently in the short term to accumulate a good amount of wealth, whatever that means for you, whatever that means to the subjective individual, well, you probably do whatever you want to in the long term. I was about 18 by the time I understood that, which is good. I thought that was relatively young. Like I understood, if I work my ass off for 10 or 15 years, didn't care about my short-term emotions too much and focused on my long-term outcomes, probably I could do whatever I want to with the rest of my life. And as it turns out, that's exactly how that happened for me. And I also thought, even at age 18, I thought, what happens to a person that's concerned about their short-term emotions and doesn't do things that don't feel good in the short term? Well, that person's going to be, essentially a slave for the rest of their life. You're going to be following somebody else's instruction. You weren't disciplined enough or smart enough to create a game plan, to set some goals, to create a game plan. And then, if you're not accomplishing your goals, you're going to be accomplishing somebody else's goals, so by default. So, I don't know. That's a lifestyle choice. But I really like the idea that I don't know what's more precious than your freedom. I don't know what's more precious than your time. I don't think anything. I don't think anything is more precious than that. And the people. The study of economics is I went to the #1 economics university in the world, and the whole study of economics is just understanding how do we allocate our resources in a efficient or pragmatic manner to create the most utility or happiness points, if you will, over the course of your life. That's just what a rational person would do. The problem is most of us aren't very rational, and some people are so trapped in their short-term emotions that they're essentially incapable of being smart enough to invest in a better future, to find teachers, find mentors, find those shortcuts. That is the shortcut. You know that. I know you spend a lot of money on your own education. That is the shortcut, is, learning from other people's mistakes so you don't have to make them. Learning about history so you don't have to have those blunders. So learn about the history of the area that you're in. So, one of the fellas here is a PhD, and I talked with one of my other PhD friends, a week ago. They have, I guess I'd say openly, they have the same area of interest. They both have, PhD in physics, which all the nerds here understand that's pretty impressive, It's somebody that can see the world more clearly than, it's almost an alien, It's almost an alien that can see the world more clearly or more precisely than most anybody else on Earth. You have to talk in a different language to communicate with a mere mortal, because their knowledge base is a bit too scientific or a bit too heavy that a mere mortal wouldn't necessarily understand. Probably couldn't understand. Anyway, my buddy and I were talking about this. I ended like a week and a half ago. Went to a top university in the world. Probably 20 people a year graduate with the type of education that he has. In the world, probably 20 people in the world graduate with that kind of education per year. And, he's saying, well, what do you really learn in that degree? What do you learn when you spend a decade studying that? What is that education? He said, well, you're kind of learning how to think more precisely. You're kind of learning of like, well, how did Newton think about this topic? How did Copernicus think about this topic? You're learning the history of the people that came before you that are some of the most brilliant people that ever lived. How did Einstein think about this problem? What was his perspective? And, it's sort of a study of philosophy. It's kind of a study of philosophy of how to view the world or think about the world. And, there's certain rules within that you can't violate those rules, or, now we're in some woo-woo land, we're not talking about reality anymore. And, it's a real shame when I see people that have that kind of education. I think it's a sin. I'm not a religious person at all, but I think it's a sin when I hear fools talk about, energy, woo-woo, fluff, and then you have some guy that, spent a decade studying physics, multiple decades, he spent his career in that field, spends his lifetime in that field, and probably not, maybe after 3-4 decades, you might have a little sliver of truth about the world that nobody else ever thought of ever before. Maybe after a few decades, a person with 145 IQ, 4 decades later, that learned what the smartest people in the world thought of on these topics, maybe that guy gets a little sliver of truth that nobody else ever understood previous to him. And if you think of the reward that he'll get for that relative to a DJ, and then the sinful part is some clown that never finished college talks about woo-woo energy stuff, and as if he knows anything about that topic. Doesn't even understand, doesn't know what fucking energy is, couldn't define it in a scientific way, and talks about it with a naive absurdity that it's astonishing, It's astonishing. But these are lifestyle choices, and people are more inclined to follow their emotions. Your emotions will give you more short-term fun than thinking about, well, what would actually give me the best emotions over the course of my lifetime. So I'm not down on having a job, man. For most people, most people aren't supposed to be an entrepreneur. I'm a real entrepreneur. I've been thinking about this my whole life. I spent 33 years, it's my 34th year, actively involved in that topic. I haven't had a job since I was 19. I quit my last job at age 19. So not everybody's supposed to do that, man. Not everybody's supposed to do that. Not everybody has that calling to, you're going to have a lot of self-denial. You're going to have teams of people, both on the client side and in your private group, in your organization that rely on you, and they have expectations of you. And you can't violate those expectations. Everything's got to be on point. Shit's got to be on point. And they don't care if it's your fault or not your fault. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about a grown man's emotions. They don't give a shit. Clients pay for a result. Clients pay for a result. And your team expects you to be on point. I expect my team to be so fucking on point You've spent quite a bit of time with us. You know exactly what I'm talking about. My guys are going to be on point. They're going to show up. I don't give a shit if they woke up and puked. They're going to show up. They're not going. There's no sick day. There's no sick day working with me. There's no day off. There's 0 days off per year. And I said, I'm going to work 366 days in 2020. Every day. I'm going to work 300 leap year. I'm going to work 366 days in 2020. I'm not going to take a single day off. I haven't had a day off in more than 2 years, by the way. And I don't want one. If you love what you do, you don't need a day off. Days off is for losers that are in the wrong position in the world. That's who needs a day off. Is a guy that hates what he does. A guy. If you loved what you do you need a day off, man? If you really enjoy your life, would you want to would you like to take a day out of that joy to do what? Nothing? That's for losers. Days off are for losers. If you need a day off, that should be an indicator. You probably should be, reallocating your time and energy into something else. Something else. So, any case, that's a different way of that's a different lifestyle. It's a different way of thinking or a different way of living. Most people don't want to do that. So, if you're okay making, some little six-figure something or less, if you're okay making some little six-figure something though, and you want your little day off, and you want to hang out with your fucking wife's cat or some shit, on it's a holiday, I got to fucking change the kitty litter box. I mean, that's not for me. It's not for me. But if it's for you, okay. If that's your biggest goal in life, that's your calling, that's what you're meant to do. All right. It's not for me. So, that same level of discipline or dedication in an entrepreneurial context helped me make a lot of fucking money. Helped me make a lot of fucking money. And that would have been the difference between $1 million or $2 million versus my current situation. And that's a big difference. That's a big difference. And I would say I had a lot more fun and a lot cooler adventure than most other people would have had. I see a lot of people that got money, and some of them, they really fucked up their lives, man. I love money. But some people that's all they have, and they didn't focus on other things too, man, I can't say people's names, but you know who some of these people are, and they invite me to this party or that party, and I see people that got $200-300 million snorting cocaine. I said, what are you doing, man? It's so I mean that money part is important, but more important than that is the psychologies, the things you learn about yourself and the things that you learn about others going through that process. It makes you a much better business person. It makes you a much better planner of the rest of your life. You got better resources, better way of thinking, better emotional control, and you're just not inclined to do stupid things and make dumbass mistakes that other people do. This video is brought to you by Moneyberg.com. I want you to go to Moneyberg.com right now to see where you can meet me live when I come to a city near you. I want you to be part of our audience. I want you to be part of our elite success programs. I want you to be part of the fun. Most importantly, I want you to ensure your success and your financial independence working with me while we travel around the world and help people live their dreams. Go to Moneyberg.com. Success is closer than you think. It's waiting for you there.